What's up, Power Painter? This is Taylor Payton of taipeiart.com as well as powerpainters.org, bringing you another tutorial today, the fifth installment in the Artist Toolkit series, dubbed Focus and Concentration. Now let's just dive right into these two really important subjects because they're universally applicable and they're going to take your art to new levels if you can start implementing them. So first and foremost, focus. What does focus mean? Well, if you think of a camera, if something is out of focus or if it's blurry, it means it's visually unclear. And if your image doesn't have a focal point, then your idea is unclear. I'm not talking like a muddy image. I mean, if you have a really, nebulous, chaotic thing going on and no design, then you're going to have a hard time drawing in your viewer. You're going to have a hard time finishing it because there's no point to focus. You need to have a place to put that lens, which will have extra clarity. And the ability to focus in on the picture plane is a wonderful thing. But if you think about focus on a broader scale, if we take that concept of focus and we blow it up even bigger, then we can talk about the conscious attention of your focus. So let's say that you are trying to, I don't know, like do social media and paint really well at the same time. That is not focus. That is distraction and multitasking, which is kind of spreading your creative power too far, if you will. And now we're going to start bleeding into the subject of concentration. So once you've set your focus, once you have taken aim with your lens and you've made it clear where you're going, and you say, I'm going to focus on this piece for the next 45 minutes, and I'm not going to let anything distract me. I'm going to get into a state where I am just in it, all in it, not, doing chatting, not on anything else, just as much in it as you can possibly be. If the cat walks in the room and throws up on the floor, then, that's a little bit more of an emergency and you can deal with that at your own pace. But really, your goal is to get as focused as possible. Concentration, on the other hand, is the effortful exercise of your mental attention. So let's say you are concentrating really deeply on the piece, and that's how you're going to enter a state called flow. Now, flow has been described by some of the top performers in every single field, right? It's basically losing yourself in your task. And it is a joyous and wonderful state because things are coming effortlessly. If you were playing piano, you wouldn't be thinking at all. If you were drawing, you are in a place where the problems that are coming up or the challenges you're solving like that. It's really quick. It's really very kind of frisky. It's a very good feeling. And the only way to get into flow is to concentrate and to have a focus. So, in your art, in your life, when you're trying to get something done, make sure you are all in it, especially if it's important. I mean, you can take this concept and apply it in a really focused way to everything that you're doing. It's just completing it and not having to set it down and come back to it unnecessarily. As artists, breaks are necessary. You don't want to mess up your wrist or your elbow or anything like that, so definitely take breaks. But even if you're taking a break, you can still sit there and look at it. You can, stretch your hand and start to just really figure out, like, where do I need to go here? What am I going to solve in order to make this final? Where am I going to take this so that it actually has the impact I'm looking for? Just start asking yourself questions. Stay relevant. Stay on the task. And if you put in 6 hours of work on one piece in a day and it's not done, but you focused in greatly, those 6 hours were very well spent. No amount of effort and concentration ever doesn't add up in the big scheme of things. If you Even if you just practice concentration and focus and you don't really like the piece, you can take that skill that you're learning because you're training your brain, you're training your mind to do that in order to reach higher and higher levels of mental functioning, of intuitive functioning. You're literally making yourself smarter at what it is you're doing because you're not separating your computational power. You're not separating your cognizance, your brain power, in essence. So yeah, I really wanted to touch on the subject because it's something I used to struggle with a lot. Used to pick things up and stop, and I used to go on social media in the middle of working. And this way, you keep breaking up the chain, and so you're not going to hit flow states nearly as often, if ever. And you're definitely not going to see your best work because you're distracted. You're scattered. And like I said in previous artist toolkits, you are the channel. You're the place the art comes through. So you really have to figure out how you're going to start focusing and concentrating. Now let me give you two tips, one for focus and one for concentration. So these two tips are going to make all the difference in your work if you implement them as quickly as you can. Like if you close the video or you write these down, just go ahead and do them, do these exercises because they will just have tremendous benefit, okay? So tip number one for focus. Tip number one for focus is to turn off your internet. Just drop it. Like if you have Wi-Fi turned on, turn it off. If your cell phone is on, then switch it to vibrate. You know what? Screw that. Switch it off. Just take every distraction you possibly can and eliminate it from your immediate environment. This way you have almost no choice but to focus. And I know it sounds kind of like hard and rough, and if you're like a super duper hobbyist watching this, then cool, you just you do your thing then. But if you really want to see the best results that you possibly can, then you want to give yourself the smallest cone of focus in your art. You want to stay on that one train of thought, right? So for concentration, here's another tip. Every time you catch yourself mentally, and you have to be aware of your thought process for this, which is another skill, but you'll learn it, okay? Just trust me on this. You'll learn it. Just keep focusing in on what you're doing, and every time you catch yourself mentally going to a different place, like, my tummy hurts a little bit, or, oh, I hope that I don't have to deal with this scary thing coming up in my life, then just say back to work. Immediately in your mind, just say these three simple words, back to work. And your concentration will start to amplify, and your ability to do really good work and face all the challenges you're going to face on the picture plane are going to be amplified once again. So again, I'm Taylor Payton. Thank you very much for watching this Artist Toolkit video. I really hope you got a lot out of it. I know that these tips have been massive for me lately, especially. I'm on like this mad hustle, and I'm learning all these new skills that I haven't had before, and I just wanted to share them with you while they're fresh, while they're working really well for me, because that way I know that they're viable because I'm testing them. If you really like the piece that you're seeing, this one's called Party of Two. It was a term one reward from my Patreon. You can check that out. It's here's a little image at the end. It's just you can see what the final looks like. And my Patreon link is in the description box. And if you don't want to become a patron, then this tutorial is available on Gumroad, and the link is also in the description box. It comes with the Ray of Light tutorial from the previous Artist Toolkit. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care, Power Painter. Happy painting, and remember, focus and concentration. See ya.